The Biden family says the president is committed to continuing as the Democratic Party nominee, despite concern from lawmakers after his first debate and calls from constituents and editorial boards for him to leave the race. CBS News polling after Thursday's CNN debate found that among Democratic voters, 46% said Biden should not run for re-election. That's a 10 percentage point increase from February of this year. Some of their main concerns surrounding the president are his age and mental fitness for the role. By the end of June, 72% of all registered voters said President Biden is lacking in these areas. It represents a 7% increase from voters surveyed at the beginning of June. CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent Robert Costa joins us now from Washington. Bob, it's good to see you. So how does the Biden team assess the damage at this point? Is it just the pundits? Do they think the concern will go away? What's the thinking?
Great to be with you, John. I think about a certain photo on a certain book, LBJ hovering over a table, almost in pain, the hardest job in the world, the American presidency, as you documented in your book, John. And this is a moment that's trying for those close to President Biden, based on my conversations today with many people close to him who were with him over the weekend, family members. And it's evident that this is someone they believe has been on the public stage at a high level since the fall of 1972, when he was elected to the Senate, and then, of course, shortly after, tragically lost his wife and his young daughter. And this is someone who was not willing to just walk away. He was humiliated in 1987 with the plagiarism scandal. He was cast aside by Democrats when he tried to run for president 20 years later. Ultimately landed on the ticket with President Obama, then candidate Obama. But this is someone who has been up and down in the arena. And he is dismissive privately, I'm told, about the press, about what he believes is the political class, and still believes he has a constituency that's with him inside the Democratic Party. We'll see.
Well, I love the reference, and that picture you talk about with LBJ, is about the weight of the office, and it's not just what has happened, but the weight that is on any president for 4 years. And you raise LBJ, and I wonder if you think that either the Trump campaign or Republicans will take advantage of the credibility gap, which is, reminds me of LBJ in the sense of the Biden administration has said he's as sharp as he ever was. He's acute, and when all these stories about his age were raised, now this debate has happened. Do you sense that Republicans are going to be saying it's not just a question of fitness, but it's an administration that isn't shooting straight with the American people?
Some of the Republicans are making that point, but they're relatively muted in doing so, because they look at their own nominee and they see someone who is going to face a criminal sentence in New York on July 11th, and someone who now is boasting about having presidential immunity to at least some extent based on the Supreme Court ruling earlier today. And what's notable in my reporting this afternoon and early evening is that many Democrats feel galvanized by what the Supreme Court did on Monday, and believe it sharpens the case against Trump and why Democrats, even if they have private or public concerns about President Biden, they don't believe he's fully in command at all times. They believe he's still better than Trump. And that's the dynamic that's so important to note as this all unfolds in real time, this historical moment. Democrats are making a calculation that, yes, there are real concerns about President Biden in some quarters. At the same time, they're alarmed about Trump. They see him as a threat to democracy. And they buy the argument from many Biden people that there is only one person who has ever beaten Trump, and he's running right now and should continue to be the nominee.
And then on the question of what the Biden campaign might do to kind of respond to the perceptions about his first debate performance, is there any plan in terms of that? More public appearances, more interviews, anything that might, or just keep the focus on Donald Trump and his considerable weaknesses?
I'm not sure about more interviews. You never know. We always welcome more interviews in the press, but there's a real distaste for the press inside the White House. Sometimes I'm not stunned's the wrong word, but there's real anger towards the press about how they don't get Biden. They don't understand the president. And so you are going to see what I've been told are more North Carolina moments. On Friday after the debate, you had the president out there in a forceful way on the trail in North Carolina. And you're going to see the Biden campaign try to surround him with a fervent crowd to show some energy, to project that he's in command of the party, in command of his administration.
Robert Costa for us in Washington. Thank you so much, Bob.
Thank you.